OC. This is Shelby Forsythia, Intuitive Grief Guide, checking in with you on this beautiful Thursday evening. So just want to say hello to everybody who is commuting on their way home today, or just going into work if you're working the night shift. And just hi. It's been a little bit since I've been on a Facebook Live with you, so I'm excited to see you and just say hello. The plan with the new podcast launch is for Thursday. What day is today? For Thursday Facebook Lives to be a regular thing, so we can talk about what's happened on the show, if you've given it a listen, and we can also kind of create a space to ask questions about what's going on in your life in terms of grief, or the lives of somebody else that you know in terms of grief and loss. I'm really excited to launch this podcast because I believe in tarot a lot, and my tarot card for this month was emerging. So I'm very excited that this podcast is a project that's been in my head for about 2 years and in production for about 6 months, and now it has finally emerged into the space of my work and my grief work online. So just really excited to hang out with you guys and provide you with the stories and the books and the resources that I so frequently get asked for in a more public space and for free, where you can see them. So want to answer some questions for you guys tonight. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, so I'm checking our email basket, and people sending questions about grief and loss to me all the time, and ask for help on what to do with them, advice for healing with them. So the question I've got pulled up right now says, "Hi Shelby, I'm 28 years old and living in New Hampshire. My friend's dad died 3 weeks ago. It was expected. He had Alzheimer's and spent the last 2 years of his life in an assisted living center. My friend has gone numb and doesn't talk as much as he used to. He's really depressed. His dad had his flaws, but he was basically a good man, and it was hard for their whole family to watch him slowly die. I still have both my parents, so I have no idea what this is like. My question is, how can I get him to seek help? I just want to see him get better from this. Thanks, Chris." So, Chris, by writing this letter, it shows that you're very empathetic towards your friend and want the best for him, which is a trait that you would want from a best friend. The tricky thing about it is that people have to choose by themselves to seek help. We can urge them along in their own ways. We can provide examples to them of what help looks like. We can tell stories of other people seeking help and maybe garnering some success from that. But we can't necessarily push people into healing until they're ready, especially with what was the time frame on this. Looks like 3 weeks ago. And for as much as time is not a factor in grief healing, like the sort of timelines you should be over it by X, Y, and Z, he's in a place of what's called acute grieving right now, which is grieving immediately after a loss. And that can go on for, I believe it's 6 months to a year at the longest. And that's just in this state of, like you described, of numbness and being shut off and just trying to emotionally and mentally cope with the fact that in the physical world everything has changed. Everything about your friend's reality has changed because of this death. So there's a couple of things that you can do for him. The first one is to step into the role of, not even to step into the role of, but to be a comforting presence for him. We're not really trained in this world how to be comforters, how to be there for other people, but those are skills that, especially when loss happens, it's really useful and really important and really vital to employ. And it's funny because kids know how to be comforters. They know how to kind of just sit with us and hold our hands and draw with us or play with us without asking too many questions, without asking why. And only when we get into our adult years is when we start asking about, why is it that you're feeling this way? Don't you think you should see someone? Why is the rest of your family handling it so much better or so much differently than you are. So as we get older, that's when the questions come in, probably because they were asked that of us. So good on you, Chris, for noticing how this grief is affecting your friend, the fact that he is grieving the loss of his father. So the best thing that you can do for him is to step into this role of comforter. And how do you do that? There's a couple of traits that define somebody as a comforter. And the first one is just being able to be present. And long and short, that just basically means being there with a person and having this non-judgmental space holding for him. So whatever emotion he's bringing to you today, whether that's numbness or sadness or anger or joy, laughter, like wanting to watch comedies, grief kind of fluctuates and then goes around in circles, and it's this crazy kind of process that it's not a linear path, so everything's going to be different day to day. And then the other thing you can do for him as a comforter is to reassure him that he's not crazy, because a lot of people who are grieving, they don't necessarily question their sanity, but they do feel as if their entire world is collapsing and there's not a stable footing on which to stand. So he's trying to rebuild his life. So providing just that space for him to listen and kind of be a place to build possible new realities from would be a great gift for him. And then secondly, aside from becoming just a comforting presence for him, just hanging out, watching movies, if you guys have ever played a sport together or done another activity together, coffee dates, like things like that. Another way that you can be there for him and prompt him to seek help in his own way would be to get help yourself. And I know in the letter that you sent, you said that you have both of your parents, so you don't know what this loss is like, but I imagine that you have had some sort of other loss in your life. We start losing things when we're children, so things like pets, things like relatives, things like, elderly grandparents, maybe a friend or a neighbor or something like that. It's really helpful for us at all ages and all stages to have tools to learn how to deal with grief. One of my favorite places to go, one of my resources to bounce off of, is called the Grief Recovery Institute, and they've actually published a book with their process for moving through a grief or a loss. And it's something you can use if you're actively grieving, if you're in the brand new stages of grief, so 3 weeks, a month, 2 months out. And you can also use it if you're really far out from a loss, 10 years, 15 years, 28 years, 40 years. You can use it at any stage, because the tools that are in it for acknowledging and releasing and forgiving are really important. And there's specialists all over the country that you can learn from, but you can also just pick a book, a copy of the Grief Recovery Handbook, and learn some of those tools for releasing yourself. And this might be one of those things where your friend who has lost his dad will start to see you changing how you speak about grief and loss, and changing your perspective on the things that have happened to you in your life. And he may ask, what has made you so much lighter? What has made you this happy? I've noticed a change in you. What's going on? And that would be a way to kind of like crack open that door to him receiving his own kind of help, is for you to put your mask on before you ask him to put on his. And I want to touch on one point in your letter, which is really, really common with the people who are friends of or family of new grievers. And that is that we hate to see them suffer, and we want to do something about it. We want to provide books or websites or assistance to help them fix it. But to an extent, that's about us feeling better and more comfortable about their situation. We hate to see the people that we love in pain and not be able to really do anything about it, not be able to fix it, and not have tools to make it go away. There's this desire that I felt in your letter with, I just want to see him getting better from this, to see him be who he was, or to see him regain some happiness and some joy. And those are things we should all want for our friends. But at the same time, in the midst of grief, we don't have a magic wand. We don't have access to a time machine. We don't have the ability to make what has happened in their life, whether it's a diagnosis or a divorce or a death, we don't have the ability to turn that backwards and make it better for them. So what we can do, again, is to be that comforting presence for them and be a safe place for them to land and to perch, a non-judgmental, non-discriminatory, non-questioning place for them to kind of reside. So I hope that answers your question, Chris. It was really, really good to hear from you. I'm seeing here that we've got a couple people on. I believe that's all I have for today in terms of answering questions, but it was really good to see you and connect with you and be live with you. I'll be on again next Thursday taking another question on grief, loss, and trauma. If you have an answer for Chris, please comment below so that he can come back and read those at his own discretion. If you do have a book or a website that he can read before passing off to his friend, or maybe a way that he can kind of put on his mask before he helps his friend kind of come to terms with his own grief. Or if you have tips for being a person who is comforting, would absolutely love to hear those from you. It was so good to see you. I hope you check out the podcast. It's called Coming Back, and it's hanging out right now on iTunes, Google Play Music, and TuneIn. So if you have Amazon Alexa, you can say, Amazon Alexa, please play Coming Back with Shelby Forsythia, and it'll pop up for you, which is like super cool. Yes, yeah, so the podcast is here, starting to answer your questions on grief and loss. Let me know if this helped you. Let me know if you have a question of your own. You can also comment below, or you can email Shelby at shelbyforsythia.com. As always, it was amazing and wonderful to see you. I see you. I am proud of you and the work that you're doing in the world, and I love you. See you next week.